Hello everyone, welcome to Kitaabi Cabins. My name is Charu and look at this view! This is so pretty. This Twiski really said beauty will save the world. I am at my grandparents' place right now and today I want to recommend poetry collections for beginners and मेरे जहन में सबसे पहले Wendy Cope ही आती है if anybody asks me how do I get into poetry. Wendy Cope ki The Orange करके poem है which is very popular on the internet right now as well. And I want to recommend Serious Concerns by Wendy Cope. Her writing is very simple, very witty and easily digestible. And I think it would be a great entryway अगर आपको poetry के world में घुसना है. There's this poem, The New Regime by Wendy Cope. It goes like, yes, I agree, we pull ourselves together. We eat too much, we are always getting pissed. It's not a bad idea to find out whether we like each other sober. Let's resist. I've got the pea here and the carrot grater. I look on a scotch or a pudding as a crime. We'll all have to be sensible sooner or later, but let's not be sensible all the time. So the next poetry collection I want to talk about is Night Sky with Exit Wounds by Ocean Wong. Ocean's collection is very accessible if you get to know the context of the poem. It's mostly about exile and how he had to lose his homeland and the trauma associated with it. Most of it goes along the same line. I'd read out a line from one of his poems. The most beautiful part of your body is where it's headed. And remember, loneliness is still the time spent with the world. Ah, so beautiful. Next, I would recommend you is to read T.S. Eliot because he's one of my favorites. If not T.S. Eliot, get into the romantics. Poetry, in one sense, is not just reading something on a paper, it's more of a vocal exercise to say. Get your hands onto the romantics. Aapko YouTube pe you'll find poets reciting their own poems. I think it would be easier to get into the poem that way. The next poet that I want to talk about is Fe Ahmed Faiz. He's one of my favorite poets, and I don't think there is anybody who can not fall in love with Faiz. His poetry transcends time. And if you are new to the world of Faiz, let me just give you a brief about the guy. Faiz was a revolutionary poet, and every poetry of his, he has used the metaphor of a lover with the revolutionary at the same time. आपने गुलों में रंग भरे सुना ही होगा अरिजीत सिंह का, अली सेठी का या मेहंदी हसन साहब का. One of his most famous works, I think. And it goes something like गुलों में रंग भरे बादलों बहार चले चले भी आओ कि गुलशन का कारोबार चले कफ़स उदास है यारों सबा से कुछ तो कहो कहीं तो बहार खुदा आज जिक्र यार चले. If you have seen the movie Heather, I love the scene. Vishal Bhardwaj did it so smartly. Heather's father is singing the first two lines of the song sitting on a chair, and then he's in jail, and then he's singing Kafas Udas hai yaron sabah se kuch to kaho from the jail, and Kafas literally means a cage cell. वो वहाँ से गा रहा है कि आज तो कहीं तो मेरा यार है बाहर जिसको रेवोल्यूशन की हवा पहुँच जाए उस तक. And he gets on to working for this beloved country. One very common thing that you will find in Urdu poetry especially is कि आप एक author या एक writer को पढ़ना शुरू करेंगे and you will see the very common pattern in all of them. फैज़ का बहुत common pattern था that along with revolutionaries and lover का metaphor that he talked a lot about spring. उसकी बहुत ज़्यादा poems you will find this very common topic of spring, bahar आई, especially using the metaphor as कि spring आती है तो seasons के changes आते हैं, and that's how a new beginning will also start. Also calling in the same poem गुलों में रंग भरे for the revolutionaries to come along with this new spring season. I think when people especially start reading Urdu poetry, they get very fascinated by the language as such कि हर चीज़ के meaning में चले जाते हैं लोग. But I think that most of the poetry lies between the words. जब आप एक शब्द से दूसरे शब्द में jump करते हैं ना, you will find these spaces. This way you will find the true essence of poetry. Let me just read out another poem by Fe Ahmed Faiz, which goes like, बहार आई तो जैसे यकबार लौट आई है, फिर अदम से वो ख्वाब सारे शबाब सारे, जो तेरे होठों पे मर मिटे थे, जो मिटके हर बार फिर जिए थे, निखर गए हैं गुलाब सारे, जो तेरी यादों से मुश्कबू हैं, जो तेरे उशाक का लहू है. Do you see the point I was trying to make here? How I jumped from one word to the another. And that is where you can see that poetry is more of a recital art form than the reading one. क्योंकि as a beginner खुद का ज़बान का लहजा बनना with the poetry थोड़ा वक्त लग जाता है. तो I get it कि लोगों को क्यों मुश्किल होता है to get into poetry. Another recommendation, talking of Fe Ahmed Faiz, is The Rebel Silhouette by Agha Shahid Ali. Aga has done a translated work of Faiza's poem in English from Urdu to English. And जो लोग कहते हैं कि हाँ हमें मीनिंग में भी जाना है साथ साथ में, Aga has done a beautiful job at translating his poem. In Veil Sweet by Aga Shahid Ali, he wrote a letter to Faiz asking if he can translate his poems, and then Faiz replied that you are open to make versions of my work, something along the line. I think the task of a translator is a very underappreciated one because language in itself is a living, breathing thing which holds an entire culture within itself. And within that culture, the people and their living experiences. And I don't think it is that easy to just take one culture and shape it into the form of another. I do get it कि थोड़ा chauvinism होता है लोगों में कि like translated poetry is not the similar one. But I think ये थोड़ा सा elitist barrier बनाती है यहाँ. So how do you consume poetry which is not your mother tongue या another language? I love Shiv Kumar Batalvi. He wrote most of his poem in Gurmukhi script. मैं गुरमुखी से भी देवनागरी स्क्रिप्ट तक आई हूँ बट स्टिल ट्रांसलेटेड वर्क्स डू हेल्प यू गेट इनटू द एसेंस ऑफ इट बट आई डू एग्री विद द पॉइंट कि जो लहजे की पोइट्री होती है बीच बीच में शब्दों की वो थोड़ी सी कमी रह जाती है बट स्टिल इट्स वन आर्ट फॉर्म टू बी अप्रिशिएटेड तो इफ़ यू वांट टू रीड फेस तो उसका ट्रांसलेटेड बुक आप साथ में आगा शाहिद अली का पढ़ लीजिएगा इट्स वेरी नाइस ही हैज़ डन अ वेरी फाइन जॉब एट इट एंड आई थिंक आई विल रैप अप द वीडियो नाउ अभी मुझे बहुत ज़्यादा पोइट्स की बात करनी है अभी उर्दू पोइट्री में मैं गई भी नहीं हूँ सिर्फ फेज की बात की थी इफ़ यू वांट अ पार्ट 2 ऑफ द वीडियो प्लीज लेट मी नो इन द कमेंट सेक्शन डाउन बिलो एंड any poets that you want to recommend to me as well and until then thank you for being here thank you for being kind and I will see you next time